This is Live Booleans.
With games like Banjo-Kazooie and Ukulele, where you have a lot more of the kind of upbeat styles, as opposed to, you know, when you've worked on World of Warcraft and those styles. Are there certain either inspirations that you looked at beforehand, or certain music theories, or anything that you kind of look to help you kind of really nail that playful aesthetic?
I think for Banjo-Kazooie, like at that time, I was really massive Danny Elfman fan. I still think he's fantastic to this day. So I was trying to think of a way, because, you know, we were trying to take on Mario 64. That was our goal, to try and beat that game, right? You know, even though it's fantastic. And like, you know, Nintendo are that kind of poppy jazz style. It's really good, and they're really good at it. And I'm really bad at that kind of style of music. I thought if I tried to copy that, it would be awful. So I tried to find something that could be my take on that platforming thing. So the first piece I actually wrote for Banjo-Kazooie was actually Click Clock Woods, the spring version.
Yeah, right. Yes.
And that's only because I was trying to write something jolly that I thought was a general platform piece. There was no level at that time. And I just, that's the first. They said, Tim Stamp and Greg Mail said to me, right, dream's over. I haven't been at the company very long. Write us something you think is going to be appropriate for a platform game. I was like, oh God, I'd have to try and find something to do, you know. So I wrote that piece of music first. And then the game started proper, and I went back to doing, you know. And so I was trying. Initially, when I got to Mad Monster Mansion, I'd written 2 different tunes for Mumbo's Mountain and Treasure Trove Cove at the start. They were different to what's in the game. And I got to Mad Monster Mansion, and I was trying to think of a way to use dark harmonies, but not scare the kids, you know.
Yeah.
So I was listening to Beetlejuice. You know, and that's got that umpa in it.
Okay.
With dark harmony, I thought, and so I kind of my little light bulb went on and went, oh, so that's how you do it. You can have as dark chords as you want, but it's quite jolly rhythm, and that people don't. It's not that scary for the kids, right? But it makes it sound dark. Yeah. So I kind of stole one of his chord sequences from
look, we all do it. We just don't say
it. Yeah, exactly. So because at that time, Batman was the first orchestral soundtrack I think I bought, apart from Star Wars. That first Batman movie, it just blew me out the window. I couldn't believe how fantastic it was. The music was just unbelievably fantastic, and that initial Batman motif, just amazing. So I kind of nicked bits of Batman with the umpire, and that became Mad Monster Mansion, right? So and I thought, oh, this is working out really great. So then I went back and went, oh, I need to find something. Also, it used a few tritones in Beetlejuice.
Yep.
I was like, oh, that sounds, you know, like. So I went back to Mumbo's Mountain. I thought, I need to redo this, and then I hit on the whole tritone thing, and that just was an entire game. Then it was just tritones everywhere, right? So that's how. And I kind of looked at the tritone as being, the tritone's the furthest point from the, in an octave scale. The tritone's the furthest point away, right? So I kind of went banjo as one. The personalities are opposite. Banjo's a bit of a thick, bit of a stupid bear. Kazooie's a wisecracking, sarcastic bird. So that at that point, it kind of matched the tritones. Banjo's one, and Kazooie the furthest point away from each other in personality-wise. It matched the music. So so I redid Mumbo's Mountain and redid Treasure Trove Cove, and then I got more and more to the tritones as the kind of game went on after that. So I felt like it gave it a real quirky, kooky, oddball sound, and I thought that matched the game. But there was wasn't some kind of grand plan. It was like, oh, this sounds all right. I'll just mess about with this for a little while. It wasn't like I had a real vision. It was like, you just do it up for the best, don't you? I didn't think people would talk about it 20 like. I thought, give it 6 months, people have forgotten it. For 6 weeks, they've forgotten. So
yeah, that's why you got to be careful when you're writing music. I found these days I make sure I like everything that I write, because sometimes people will run with it and put it out there on the internet, and you can never take that back.
I know. Obviously, I liked what I wrote, but I didn't think people would still talk about it all, especially that quality. Like, you think, especially on GoldenEye too, you think it's not great sonic quality. Everything's 16 kilohertz. It's like not great, but
I still pop it on and listen to it like all the time.
Yeah. I guess the whole point about that is that people don't. Like, my wife's, we're both metal fans, right? She was a kind of glam metal fan. I was a heavy metal fan.
Yeah.
She still would listen to crappy old Poison on cassette tapes and think it sounded. And I was like, it's more muffled and mumbled, like she just didn't care. I really feel like us composers, right? I think that you can get too wrapped up in that. You really can. Like, the average man on the street really doesn't care what it sounds like half the time. It's like it's got a tune they like, or they're not that high fidelity. I think we spend an awful lot of time having high sample rates and all these things that we can do now, And I don't think it's, obviously it's nice to have it and it's good quality, but a lot of people don't really notice it being not great mixes or not great mastering or whatever it is. They don't really notice it.
Yeah. It's a good point, because at its core, it's basically, do people connect with this? Does it make them feel that emotion that you want them to feel, or feel a good emotion in some way?
Yeah.
And like, it's a good point, because I have to constantly remind myself when I'm doing mixing and mastering. I think it was Andrew Sheps, the mixing engineer. He said the only thing that matters is what comes out the speakers. And these days, a whole lot of people listen to stuff on their phones, you know,
Yeah.
and they're like flicking through Twitter or whatever, and they hear your music. And so it's that balancing act of not getting too wrapped up in making everything absolutely perfect, but still making it sound like the message you're trying to get across actually comes out of those phone speakers.
And
Yeah,
you're
that makes
listening to it with this, you know, when you're making it and composing it and mixing it, you got headphones on, you got this huge setup going, and it's not how people are going to consume it at the end of the day.
No, they've probably got these Beats headphones that got like massive bottom end.
Yeah,
Exactly.
You know, so you
The
kind
bass.
of all the bottom end then. I mean, it's like, like
Yeah.
That's exactly right. Well, I mean, that's one thing I do. So my head unit in my car has a double bass function on it. So when I'm making music, I'll play it in my car and drive around in the middle of the night with double bass on, just to see whether it blows out my speakers.
Yeah.
It's a good idea. Yeah, it's a good idea.
Because then you have like Beatles music, which is mixed isn't the right term, but its recording is pretty sloppy. Like you can hear them talking in the background. You listen to Hey Jude, you listen to it loud enough, you can hear John Lennon go fucking hell when the rumours of where that is.
Yeah, and it's been bounced to track a lot of times as well, so you lose quality every time you bounce it right to get them. You only had 4 tracks in the early days, you know. Like the drums are on one side, and you know it's like it's just like no one seems to care, do they?
Yeah.